Hi everyone. So in the last class you have seen that is evidence of evolution by natural selection, in which you have seen the example of peppered moth in two ways, that is two varieties of peppered moth you saw, that is white winged and dark winged, and how that is the evolution took place in a period of time. Okay, in today's class we will see resistance to biomolecules, sorry, not biomolecules, that is resistance to biochemicals. Okay. So here when you use the chemicals, that is pesticides, insecticides in excess quantity, that is going to lead to the selection of more resistant varieties in a shorter period of time. For example, that is DDT. Earlier when you were using the DDT, that is mosquitoes and ants used to die. But nowadays when you use DDT, the mosquitoes neither die nor they perish, because it is because of the resistance which is developed by these mosquitoes. Okay, this is going to give you an example for evidence of evolution by anthropogenic activities. Okay, so this is all about the resistance to biochemicals, which is an evidence for anthropogenic activities. Right, the next part of this chapter is we'll see about the adaptive radiation, and this adaptive radiation, the definition of this adaptive radiation as well as adaptive radiation is important for 2 marks question for your annual examination. The definition will come for 2 marks question, or they may ask you regarding the explanation of adaptive radiation with an example for 3 marks question. So you have to be thorough with this. Okay, it is a compulsory question from this chapter, that is what do you mean by adaptive radiation, or give an example for adaptive radiation. We will see the example later on. So first of all, we will see what do you mean by adaptive radiation. Adaptive radiation can be defined as it is an evolution which is occurred, that is in a evolution which is occurring in a given period of time, right? So coming to the definition of this adaptive radiation, so it can be defined, it is a process of evolution of different species in a given geographical area, starting from a point and radiating to different regions of geography, is called as adaptive radiation. Once again I will repeat, it is a process of evolution of different species in a given geographical area. This is a geographical area, this is a given geographical area, there are a number of different species in this. Okay, and all these species are originating from this point and then they will go to different areas of geography. That is called as adaptive radiation, or once again I will explain definition. You see, that is a process of evolution of different species in a given geographical area, starting from a point and radiating to different or moving to different geographical area or habitat, is called as adaptive radiation. This is a bit difficult, you need to understand, try to read it again and again and then understand, you will understand the definition. You split the definition into different parts and then try to understand it. Okay, that is called as adaptive radiation, or in simple terms you can say that is evolution of species in different direction. That is nothing but the adaptive radiation. Then coming to the examples of adaptive radiation. Okay, the best example what you can give for the adaptive radiation is the Darwin finches. The best example what you can give is Darwin's finches. Okay, so here you can see that the Darwin, you all know very well, that is Darwin. He had been to the COH throughout the world in his ship, that is HMS Beagle, and during his journey he had been to Galapagos Island also. There in the Galapagos Island he had observed black colored birds, small birds, and those were called as Darwin's finches. Okay, we observed black colored small sized birds. Those are called as Darwin finches. These finches, there are a variety of finches. He could observe that there were a variety of finches in the same island. Then he observed that, or he came to the conclusion that these different finches which were existing in the same island were due to some reason. Then what was that reason? So here we will see that so I'll draw the diagram of those finches so that you can understand. So consider this as an Darwin finches. Then here you can see, that is, you observe that there were different varieties of finches which were present in the same island. Then what might have happened to this for the speciation or the formation of different varieties of finches then? So he came to the conclusion that these finches, which were the ancestors of these finches, may be, that is, seed eating form or seed eating creatures. And then these finches might have moved to different regions in the same island, and there in order to adapt themselves to that particular environment, they might have changed themselves, they might have evolved themselves, especially evolution was seen, they might have changed themselves. The change was in the form of the size of the beak. Here you can observe, earlier their ancestors of the finches had a broad beak which was suitable for eating seeds. But later on, as they went to different regions of the same island, in order to adapt to that particular environmental condition, they changed themselves. The change was seen in the shape of their beak. Okay, and as they went on changing the shape of the beak due to the availability of the food, they tried to adapt themselves for eating insects, okay, non-veg or food grains, and hence there was change which was seen in the beaks of these finches. Okay, and remember, all these finches, black small shaped birds, were all present in the same geographical area or the same island. Okay, by seeing this, he said that these finches, as they were living in isolation for a long period of time, there was change in the shape of their beak, and that led to the formation of different species of these finches. And all these finches had difference in their beak. This is a best example for adaptive radiation with the help of Darwin. Best example for adaptive radiation, that is Darwin's finches. Okay, right. Then next example is about the Australian marsupials. Okay, while writing in exams, if they ask you, you have tried the best example for adaptive radiation is Darwin's finches. Okay, the next example what you can give is Australian marsupials. Australian marsupials. Australian marsupials, or you can also call them as pouched mammals. You know very well, in Australia you can find a kangaroo, which is a pouched mammal. Here also you can see that there were different species of the pouched mammals or the pouched marsupials, and all these existed from the common ancestors. And due to some of the other reason, they might have migrated to different regions in the same island, that is Australian continent or Australian island continent, and then they might have evolved into different forms. But all they belong, these Australian marsupials, all they belong to the same ancestors, but they might have radiated to different regions in the same island, and hence they have developed into different species. Okay, this is second example, that is Australian marsupials. Then we'll see another point will come in this, that is next one is what you see is the convergent evolution. So convergent evolution, this already I had told you, that is homologous organs will lead to convergent evolution. Then coming to the definition of convergent evolution. Convergent evolution. So what do you mean by convergent evolution? Let me ask you for 1 mark question. That is important for 1 mark question. Define convergent evolution. When more than one adaptive radiation occurs in a given geographical area, in an isolated geographical area, it can be called as convergent evolution. Okay, then we will move on to the next part, that is what do you mean by parallel evolution? Parallel evolution. So we can give the parallel evolution. Parallel evolution means, you can see it in that is Australian marsupials. Okay, so parallel evolution is nothing but when the convergent evolution occurs in closely related species. When convergent evolution occurs in closely related species, that can be called as a parallel evolution. And you can give the example of parallel evolution which can be seen in Australian marsupials. Australian marsupials. Okay, so this Australian parallel evolution, you can see that these Australian marsupials are going to be similar with those of, they have been evolved from the marsupials. They have been evolved from marsupials like this. That is, for example, that is marsupial, Australian marsupials, and these are the pouched mammals. So they are going to show, these are closely related to one another. Okay, right? And they have evolved from the same ancestors, and they are going to show the resemblance as well as similarities. Hence they come under the parallel evolution. For example, Australian marsupials, that is marsupial mole, is similar, or it is going to resemble with the, that is mammalian mole, and numbat, it is going to show similarities with the anteater. Then marsupial mouse is going to show resemblance with the mouse, whereas flying phalanger is going to show resemblance with the flying squirrel, whereas Tasmanian wolf is going to show the resemblance with the mammal, that is wolf. You can also give the example of Tasmanian cat. Tasmanian, that is cat, is going to show the resemblance with the bobcat. Like this. So these are all the examples for parallel evolution. Parallel evolution means the Australian marsupials, they are going to show resemblance and they are going to appear similar to the pouched mammals. Right. So that is the example for parallel evolution. Then next part of this chapter